Ground was broken this week on a new Colts stadium. The owner of one of the businesses in the way, however, doesn't plan on moving. NK Hurst Beans is taking an expensive stand to hold on to a location that it's called home since 1947. Hurst is considering a buyout offer from the stadium authority, but owners say that a move would result in lost production, higher property taxes, and other costs that they say would total $7.5 million.
We are not asking for tax incentives. We're not asking for economic grants. We are not asking for subsidies. We're asking them to collaborate on some designs of the stadium project and specifically our parking situation.
That's one of the owners, Rick Hurst. John Ketzenberger, will the Hurst family be forced to move?
Unless there is a new, renewed desire to make some kind of a swap or deal with him, the answer to that is yes. The state will have the authority to enforce eminent domain on that property. Likely will succeed, and
although they haven't, the threat of eminent domain is always there, but they've not imposed it to this point.
No, they have not. I'm just saying that the threat is there. He will be forced to move one way or the other. The only variable here is whether or not they will be able to negotiate with him. He'll be able to negotiate with the state on some other option, and that's not very certain at this point.
Does it help him to take his case to the media?
He probably feels that he doesn't have many options at this point. The land that the state wants to acquire for the expansion, it has been clear. Some of the other property owners have been more than happy to sell their property. The handwriting, as John suggests, is on the wall. I'm not sure what options he has at this point. You know, if nothing else, maybe the deal ultimately that he's able to secure, if he goes that route, will be more lucrative for him than the initial offer from the state would have been.
Is this about staying, or is this about hiking the price?
Well, I think their first preference would be to stay. I mean, this is a great old Indiana company. I mean, they've been there forever, and I like their ham and beans, by the way. That's good stuff, especially this time of year. But I think what you're going to have happen is you're going to see a negotiation take place. That the compromise will be met at some point, but I think this is the beginning of the negotiation.
The governor said today that any proposal they put forward should be listened to. Does this put him in a difficult political position?
Well, I think he'll have enough sense to come to a fair agreement on this. I know the city had been negotiating with them to provide alternative sites and the like, and that's what you ought to try to do. I mean, it's not his fault he's being moved, and it seems to me it ought to be done as equitably as it possibly can. So I would hope the state would have the judgment to negotiate and try to make it work.
And in terms of style points, we often talk about how people approach these things. I mean, to have those banners out on the semi-trucks, you know, pointing out it's not that we're against the Colts, it's not that we're against the stadium.
It's probably true.
Yeah.
I mean, it may be the added benefit that it's true, but it's also very...
This was very carefully planned out. He declined to do an interview with me on Tuesday because he didn't want to be part of the groundbreaking story.
Right.
He wanted to wait until the next day, and so that he was the story.
So his PR
and the banners went up the next day.
His PR is as good as his beans, apparently.
Well, you know, they're trying very hard to show that they're not against the project. You know, last thing they want to do is to show that they're against the project, because that's not where they are. But he'd like to stay there, but in the long-term situation, I just don't see it happening.
Let's move on. Governor Mitch Daniels said